this problem, we are to graph f of x equals 2 sine x. So in general, to graph y equals a sine x, a turns out to be the amplitude, or how high or how low the graph goes. So here's a graph of y equals sine x, meaning a is 1. And you notice that sine x always starts at the origin, goes as high as it can go, which in this case is 1, goes down as low as -1, and comes back up. So this portion right here is considered one cycle or one period of the sine function. It goes up, comes back down, goes down and back up. So it takes 2 pi units. Unless you change the period, it takes 2 pi units, which is roughly 6 units to do this. So what we need to do is graph something that looks exactly like that. So I'm going to start by clicking on one of these two. With sine function, I prefer the second, but you can use the first. And before I start, let me tell you, if you do something that you wish you would have done, you messed up, you can always just hit clear all and start over. So I'm going to click this one, which has me starting. One way you can do it is start in the middle here, in the midline. So here my midline, the line that cuts through the middle of the graph, is y equals 0. So I'm going to start at y equals 0, and more specifically the origin. And I'm going to click and hold my mouse, and I'm going to go up and to the right so that the sine function has a period of about 2 pi units. So if I was to do something like this, then I would be saying that the period is about 4, which is not supposed to be the case. The period of the sine function, unless you change it, is 6, or a little bit bigger than 6. It's actually 2 pi. So I'm going to use this point up here to move it to the right just a little bit so that it takes roughly 6 units to do its thing. You get one cycle of the sine function. So it goes up, back down, and it takes about 6 units to do that. The problem is I put my high point as high as 3 and my low point as low as -3, and here they have the amplitude being 2. So if the amplitude here, A, is 2, that means it needs to go as high as 2 and as low as -2. So if you were just to graph y equals sine x, if you just graphed sine x without a number here, not having a number is equivalent to having the number 1. And if a was 1, it would go as high as 1 and as low as -1. Since there's a 2 there, go up as high as 2 and as low as -2. That's basically it. If I was to submit my answer now into Math AS, notice I get 1 out of 1.